On the Fringe with Dan radio style, hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. The handshake heard round the world. That's right. Strange things are coming, folks, and people know who's ultimately going to be in charge. Poll numbers are not lying, and we've got some new polls out, I guess, that are demonstrating that Trump is like 10 points up. Looks like Kamala Harris has lost her little vacation, but perfect timing, right? Today's the 27th, heading right on into October here very shortly. October surprises will be abound, I'm sure, from both sides, for that matter. So be ready. Got a lot going on, big month coming, and got a great music show going to be coming up here, too, in about 3 hours from right now as far as where I'm standing. Maybe different for you, but let's get into it. We got a lot going on. Wanted to start here. I just felt this was a pretty powerful place to start, and then we're going to get into Helene. Yes, I finally learned how to say it, even though I've never in my life met anybody named Helene. It's not Helen with an E at the end. It's apparently Helene, whatever the case is. We've got a lot to talk about. Let's start here.
Well, man, why are you attacking somebody black? I said, black people didn't put this up. They didn't have anything to do with this. I heard them planning.
The Obama administration did.
Well, that's it. Obama, what did he do for the black race? Nothing. Question you might ask, who's the richest man to ever be U.S. president? It's not Trump. No. It's Barack Obama. You know how? His adopted father, Lolo Soetoro, was one of the 10, 15 richest men on earth. And when he died, he left a trust fund in Indonesia with 3 equal beneficiaries. Barack Obama, then known as Barry Soetoro because he was adopted, and his 2 siblings. So he has a whole false claim about what his background is. But when he got in the White House, he'd been working for a law firm that represented his daddy. He got lauded by Goldman Sachs, who financed most of his daddy's American investments. He protected British Petroleum when they had the blowout in the Gulf because guess what? His trust fund had heavy investments in BP. So we get through this whole mantra and even affordable care. Obamacare, you know who drafted it? Senior Tennessee Republican Senator Dr. Bill Frist when he was Republican Senate Majority Leader. Why? His family founded Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and most of the HMOs. His family's making a killing. So he retired from the Senate in 2010 when the Obama administration got passed his drafted act from 2003. It's his game. And I don't have any problem with Trump either. I'm looking at lowest black unemployment rate since Lyndon Baines Johnson, more money to historically black colleges and universities at any time since Lyndon Baines Johnson. I mean, more Americans back to work. You know, like, what did you get for the last 3? Oh, and then this. You know that joke that they do about George W. Bush feeding Michelle candy? The inside thing on that is it's the same candy he fed her husband when he was 6, 7 years old. See, the Soetoros and the Bushes go back 40-some years.
No idea what the hell that part of the story was at the end. I never even heard that before, but all right, sure. Feeding somebody candy. Helene, we got a lot going on here. I want to start with this picture. This is what I think it is. I want to, you know me, I can't handle the tough, horrible things and not sort of have some poking fun at it. And somebody made a joke that I thought was kind of funny. Again, we're not going to minimize the pain that's going on right now, so please understand. Oh, actually, this is the next story, but this is starting it off. North Carolina's got a pretty serious case going on. Residents below the Lake Lure Dam need to evacuate to higher ground immediately. Dam failure is imminent. I don't know if this is going to be happening tonight, but they are getting some extreme water there, it seems. So needless to say, that's pretty bad. Now, here's the quote-unquote funny thing. Again, Colin McCarthy put this out. Someone just flew through the eye of a Category 4 Hurricane Helene in a private jet, which is interesting that someone would do that in a private jet. Very strange. But all that said, this lady, Shish Kebab, she said, probably my ex. He doesn't understand boundaries. Thought that was kind of funny. Maybe not. Maybe it's too soon. I'm sure it is. Hurricane Helene upgraded to an extremely dangerous Cat 4 hurricane. As of right now, the NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft currently investigating Helene recently found that the maximum sustained winds have increased to 130 miles per hour. or 215 kilometers an hour if for some reason that matters to people in other countries. Certainly not here. We're like, what was that? Well, it's a kilometer. I don't even know. 1.6 of those per mile, folks, just so you know. Helps a little bit when you're trying to figure it all out. So, yes, it's going to be an ugly storm. Here is Florida Highway Patrol. They closed the Howard Franklin Bridge. Not sure where this bridge is, but definitely don't want to be driving on it. That's for damn sure. Oh, no noise. But, yeah, you can see insane. Like, the water level is right up to the bridge. Is this normally a floating bridge, or is it normally above the water and the surge is that high? That's wow. Wow is all I can say. Holy crap is another thing I could say, I guess. If I was Batman, or if I was Robin, I would say, holy crap, Batman, is what I would say. Here is, some of the flooding that's actually happening.
From the water.
So again, this is doing some pretty outlandish damage. So my prayers and, of course, heart goes out to everybody out there. And again, I do apologize for trying to, deal with my unhappiness by cracking jokes. I can't help it. I seriously can't. I'm like the worst when it comes to like really serious moments. I just don't handle them well. I just think it's one of my many flaws, I guess. Whatever. Telling, isn't it? President Trump said 1 year ago, almost to the day, Merrick Adams would be indicted within 1 year. And this was funny, too, because I kind of called it out at the time, too. And I guess maybe Eric Adams isn't guilty, I guess. I'm going to say that much right now. Maybe he's not. But we'll see. But Trump made a comment a year ago, and I was kind of similar with him in that when Eric Adams came out and said comments against the administration for letting all the migrants come into New York, and then almost immediately after that was when he started getting investigated. So I kind of put two and two together at the same time, and it is fitting. But yeah, Trump was calling it out, and once again, Trump was right.
I will say this. I watched about a year ago when he talked about how the illegal migrants are hurting our city and the federal government should pay us and we shouldn't have to take them. And I said, you know what? He'll be indicted within a year. And I was exactly right, because that's what we have. We have people that use the Justice Department and the FBI at levels that have never been seen before. So I wish him luck. I don't know anything about what he did, but I told a lot of people right over there, that group was saying, sir, you were right about that. When they mentioned that, I said, they came in and he was pretty strong about it. He said, this is really unfair to make us carry this burden. We shouldn't be doing this. This is New York City. I mean, your parks are loaded up. I just passed recently Madison Avenue, the Roosevelt Hotel. It's like nobody would recognize it. That's Midtown. But he came out very strongly against it. He was right, by the way, because it's ruining our country. He was honest. And I said, he will be indicted within a year. And that's what happened. And I noticed the indictment's very old. It goes back a long time. Well, I had the same thing. They went way before the statute of limitations. So I wish him well, but I said that he will be indicted because he did that. You take a look. That's what they do. These are dirty players. These are bad people. They cheat. And they do anything necessary. These are bad people. And we need an honest Justice Department. We need an honest FBI, and we need it fast. Yeah.
Amen. And yeah, we've got huge problems that, again, people are waking up to. And now they're going after some of the Democrats. And again, New York, right? Oh, we're only going to go after Republicans. No, you're going to go after Democrats, too. Again, we always knew that the machine would turn against you the second you decided to call out the machine. Yeah, they don't let that happen. And it's one thing that the people in the deep state know very well. You don't step outside of the lines. If you do, you'll be punished severely. Even before news broke out of New York City's Mayor Eric Adams, I don't think that came out right. His former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is already signaling to allies that he was preparing to run for mayor now. Of course, the guy that got kicked out of governorship because of scandal, and he wants to take over in New York as the mayor because a mayor's getting kicked out for scandal, right? Wouldn't you just immediately bring in another deep state player? So Cuomo's vying for that position. He's like, come on, deep state, come on, give me another chance, come on. We'll do better this time, I swear. We won't get caught. Yeah, we'll see, buddy. Mayor Eric Adams surrendered to the feds Friday ahead of a scheduled appearance before Manhattan federal judge a day after he was hit with a historic indictment alleging a decade-long pattern of corruption. His Honor, who is the first sitting New York City mayor to be indicted, was scheduled to make an initial appearance at the Manhattan federal court on noon on charges he took bribes. He did say he was not guilty, by the way. I don't think I kept that story or pulled that story just because I felt like I was already kind of saying too much. Here's Giuliani talking about what's going on with the mayor.
He wasn't, his first assistant that was raided was on the very day he was going to the White House with two other mayors to complain about Biden. Now, at that point, he was a very popular black mayor of New York, biggest city in the country. His criticizing Biden and then getting two more mayors to come with him was very dangerous politically to them. Mm-hmm. Their response to political danger is to corrupt the criminal justice system. I mean, the Attorney General is known for that. So I don't know if he's innocent or guilty. I can tell you he wouldn't have been prosecuted if he didn't criticize Biden. De Blasio was never properly investigated. And I think if you ever looked at de Blasio, the amount of money involved here would pale in comparison to the fortune that he and his wife never accounted for.
So again, you only get busted if you step out of line. Doesn't matter how big or small your troubles are, they're going to make them as big as humanly possible. Marjorie Taylor Greene posted this. There is a strike on the verge of happening Tuesday, October 1st that could cripple our economy and could leave store shelves bare by shutting down ports that handle 68% of our country's containerized exports and 56% of containerized imports. For every single day that the strike, it could take 6 days to catch up, meaning just a 5-day strike could take a month to unload and load ships at ports up and down the East Coast and Gulf Coasts. The International Longshoremen Association, representing 45,000 dock workers from Maine to Texas at 14 different ports, contracts expire September 30th, and they are demanding higher wages equal to other dock workers' pay and guaranteed job security that they will not be replaced by automation and AI. Wow. Guaranteed jobs, huh? No such thing, really. In 1977 was the last time they went on strike. That was long before America became dependent on foreign imports for food and necessary goods. We actually still grow a crap ton of food here, by the way, folks. It's very important to understand how critical this is, given that America is now in a $36 billion food trade deficit for the first time in our national history. Also, the Biden-Harris administration and Congressional out-of-control spending has driven inflation so high that many Americans can't afford quality of life. I think the situation is serious and could be a crisis going into the elections, holiday, and even the winter's season, depending on how long the strike lasts and how long it takes to clean up. Retailers have been trying to stock up in preparation, but it's always smart to be personally prepared, just in case. We've been talking about it. We've been telling you guys to be prepared, and here's another example. Again, you don't want to trust that they're going to take care of you. They won't. We know that for fact. The cops aren't going to show up in time. Hopefully the fire department shows up. That's actually one of the few things you can't really do a whole lot yourself about. But we know the government doesn't care about us. We know they don't want you to have wealth. We know they don't want you to have money. They want you to be poor, broke, dependent on them, and they want you to eat bugs, frankly. Let's be totally honest. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. If you've got a 401k or an IRA, and you're in their system, that means dollars and stocks. Right now, dollars are getting hammered by inflation. Fed lowered the rate once again. That's going to hurt inflation even more. And the reason they did it is because the economy was starting to slow down too much, too fast. And we also had the risk of some of these banks going under. So by lowering that interest rate, it actually makes some of the paper that the banks are carrying worth a little bit more, and thusly gives them a chance to survive. It also helps, hopefully, in their minds, expand the economy. But the downside is it also continues the inflationary problem that we've got. Inflation is going to go up. It's unquestioned. And it's whether or not the Fed actually lowers the rates yet again, and we'll see how that plays out. But you don't want to get caught in that trap. You don't want to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And many think that wrong time might be coming soon. Let my good friends at Goldco help you get out of the wrong place before it's the wrong time. They can do it. They've got the abilities to do it. They've got a number of suppliers that they can get precious metals. And yes, when you get out of their system and into a precious metal IRA, it's physical metals. They put it in a trust. And that's how you get out tax-free and penalty-free. It's a sideways movement. Okay? There's a lot of steps. There's a lot of parts and bumps and humps and all sorts of weird stuff that goes into this. Goldco makes it extraordinarily easy, and their customer service is bar none, which means all the questions you have, ask. Ask every stinking one of them, and they'll answer for you. They're amazing. They are absolutely amazing. Greatest partners I've ever been with, and they've helped a whole lot of the people in my audience. You guys would be lucky to be helped as well. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of their system, folks, before they get out of you. And they're definitely trying to do exactly that. We've got Smartmatic. They reached a settlement with Newsmax on Thursday. I got a bit. This bummed me out. I wanted to see this go to case. I'm not surprised that Newsmax settled because, frankly, Newsmax, I don't think they've got super deep pockets. So I don't think they could really afford this. So they reached some form of settlement. And the reason we're almost sure that they reached this settlement is because Smartmatic did not want evidence coming out demonstrating that they did, in fact, hide stuff from us, maybe have some secret backdoors, maybe have some small problems, maybe have some corruption. They didn't want any of that information coming out. They couldn't afford it themselves. And it also, the deep state couldn't afford it. So I'm not sure what the settlement was. My guess was it was reasonably small. And so they took it because it was easier than paying a bunch of lawyers. So this is a bummer, but not a surprise, I guess. House Judiciary panel wants to hear from FBI analysts who told Twitter Hunter Biden laptop was real. Even though the FBI had been in possession of this laptop for nearly a year and had verified provenance of its contents, the FBI made the institutional decision to refuse to answer direct questions from social media companies about the laptop's authenticity, despite months of constant information sharing up to that time. So Jordan is trying to get some extra answers. And put simply, after the FBI conditioned social media companies to believe that the laptop was the product of foreign malign influence operation, the FBI stopped its information sharing, allowed social media companies to censor the New York Post story on the incorrect basis that it was Russian disinformation. Over more than 30 meetings with Twitter, now X, and other social media platforms in the lead up to the 2020 election, Bureau officials harped on the likelihood of a Russian hack and leak operation targeting the Biden family, with a focus on Hunter leaning on his father's position while having a nearly $1 million per year salary board seat at the Ukrainian energy firm Burisma Holdings. Yeah, not good. So somebody from Twitter essentially asked whether the laptop was real, and one of the FBI folks who was on the call did confirm that, yes, it was, before another participant jumped in and said no further comments. So Jordan wants to hear from that individual that says, yes, it is. When did they know? How did they know? What did they know? All this information is going to come out. I'm not sure if this is the person that said yes. We'll see. We'll see how this plays out. But yeah, lots going on, and the lies are coming to the surface. Yeah, we're definitely catching these people. And notice how they're having to kind of like pivot, too, immediately. We've got them on their heels. They're not on their toes like we are. We are making a difference. Nathan Wade, he was finally served his subpoena in the Congressional Fani Willis probe. He basically came to them and said, all right, here's where I'm at. I don't think he wanted the manhunt and the bad publicity. Long story short, he got served, and I think he showed up today. I think it was today that he was supposed to show up. Forced, 6 days after the subpoena was issued by the committee, Wade called the U.S. Marshals and finally made an appointment for service, ending the standoff. Earlier this week, a spokesperson from the committee characterized Wade's evasion as extremely unusual, to say the least. So yeah, we got some help from the Marshals, and now Wade concealed the committee because instructions received from Willis's attorney. The 11th hour intervention from District Attorney Willis does not excuse your failure to appear for your transcribed interview, Jordan wrote. Nice try. You're not allowed to protect your boyfriend. It's not how this game's played, sweetheart. And you're in trouble anyway for dogging out on a subpoena, too. You're supposed to show up. So, yeah, not good. Not good at all. Yeah, Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee ultimately ruled that Willis could remain on the case as long as her former lover stepped down, which he did. It'll be interesting to see what we get from that. Kyle Becker posted this, and he's talking about OMG, he was on Tucker. O'Keefe was on Tucker, and he was talking about this. Dozens of federal whistleblowers are going to be coming forward in the next few days. Check it out.
Ago, the Border Patrol sent a cease and desist letter to him for appearing in this film. And as a result of that, I got wind over the last 24 hours that 5 more Border Patrol agents are going to blow the whistle as a result of this film. And one more thing. And so naturally, the investigative reporter, I go, this guy's actually on the Canadian border. I didn't even realize the Canadian border was overrun. It is.
Oh, yeah.
You're in Maine. I was in Vermont. So I go up there this weekend to get comment like I do, and the state police detain me for trying to ask questions of the Border Patrol agents. So this is a giant system, and I mark my words, I promise you, there are going to be dozens of federal whistleblowers coming forward in the next few weeks. And the question for you is, are you going to have their backs?
Does hell yeah work? One thing I want to kind of say that was funny, and again, I'm starting to get really good. There's a lot of content creators out there that suck, and there's definitely some in particular that are pretty popular right now that suck bad. And what's funny is one of them in particular, I'm not going to name anybody, but he was talking about how when O'Keefe got taken by the cops or whatever, detained, questioned, whatever, and he'd been promoting the fact that he was going to share some big news coming up. Some big news is coming. And they're like, yeah, I bet they took him in because of the big news. It's like, where do you derive this from? This is not true. And we don't know anything. And again, that's just silly. It's just funny how many people jump to conclusions. See, one of the biggest problems we have right now is talking to this older gentleman at the gym today. I've mentioned him many, many times. But one of the biggest problems we have today is many people have very strong beliefs of some kind. Could be religious, could be about what's going on politically, could be about Trump or Harris or anybody, but they have very strong beliefs. Could be Nasara, Jassara, that's another fun one, could be flat earth, whatever the case is, right? You might have very strong beliefs about something. And then what happens, what we do is I think a failure, is every piece of information that we can pull in, that we can learn, we have to filter through this belief. So everything that we pull in and we filter through this belief, it's got to somehow make what we believe stronger, or it's got to be in line with what we believe. It can't be information that maybe says something different. Can't be just information that you can get that data point and this data point and another data point over here, and then try to look at all the data points and see if it makes a picture. But we don't do that. We oftentimes assume that a data point helps our particular belief. One of the things I've learned as an individual that's been pretty open to stuff for a very long time is the more I know, the more I learn, the more I know, is the more I know I don't know. That's what I've honestly learned. The more I learn means the more I don't actually know. I know it sounds backwards, but it's true. Keep your minds open. Look to see what God is showing you. What is being shown to you? Not what do you believe, and does this help support that? No. Leave your beliefs aside. Shove them down. Let go of them for a moment and see what you see. See what information comes up. Pray on it and see what other ideas pop up into your head. Because we are at a place where we need to kind of expand our views. Many of us are trapped in ideological processes, and it's going to hold you back. It's going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt anyone else. It's going to hurt you. Open your mind. Open your mind. Most everything that we believe to be true is mostly wrong. Most everything. In fact, I would probably say everything. That's going to be hard for many, many, many of us to understand that our version of belief needs to be adjusted. It's not totally wrong. Everything's based in some form of truth, but it's been bastardized badly. Most everything. House Judiciary put this out. The committee writes to overrule your objection and to provide Mr. Nellis's a final opportunity to comply with the subpoena. What does this have to do with? Thought this was explained better in the post I originally saw. The Committee on Judiciary issued your client, Michael Nellis, a subpoena for 2 categories of documents relating to the committee's oversight on the Manhattan District Attorney's political prosecution of President Trump. On the subpoena's return date, September 13th, 2024, you sent a letter on Mr. Nellis's behalf outlining your objections to the subpoena. These objections mirror concerns that your client has raised and the committee has addressed in a previous correspondence. The objection to the subpoenas are unfounded and unpersuasive and do not excuse your client's noncompliance with the subpoena. The committee writes to overrule your objections and to provide Mr. Nellis a final opportunity to comply with the subpoena. Separately, recent campaign filings by the Harris campaign appear to contradict statements Mr. Nellis previously made to the committee, and he has failed to certify those statements. This information raises the prospect that he has made false statements to the committee, which are subject to criminal penalties under Section 1001 of Title 18 of the United States Code. Yeah, you're not supposed to lie. So your September 13th letter first asserted a general objection challenging the legislative purpose underlying the committee's subpoena, arguing that you object to the subpoena in its entirety because you believe that the subpoena does not further any valid legislative purpose. Yeah, it's not gonna hold water, sorry to say. Many failures on the Harris front. Biden-Harris DOJ says the UNRWA terrorists should be immune from lawsuits. So this is sort of a thing with the UN, that they generally have immunity from lawsuits, which is kind of funny if you think about the fact they're supposed to actually take over control of this country. So, yeah, ties into that. Whatever the case was, they were trying to go after UNRWA, UNRWA, I guess is how they say that typically. They're the ones that had a number of employees there. I want to say it's like 7, but I forget the exact number. Number of employees that were part of the October 7th insurrection or attack in Israel. The fact that a UN group actually had people that were part of the attack is very problematic. Now, we've stopped funding this group for sure, but we should be able to sue them. The Biden administration, Harris administration said, no, you can't. Sorry, they're immune. So our actual Department of Justice, our actual executive branch, our actual government doesn't give a shit about us, doesn't care about Israel, doesn't care about any of that stuff. They're going to actually let these terrorists have their immunity. That's beyond crazy in my mind, but who knows? I'm just a weirdo. At least so the left keeps telling us. President Trump says he hopes the press looks into the phone app that the cartels are using. He's got a little bit to say here. It's kind of a crap clip, unfortunately. Normally this individual does better, I feel, but this clip was, I think, cut poorly, but it's going to have to do.
Escaped, and she said, they didn't mean to rape me, they meant to kill me. That was her statement. Earlier this year, an illegal migrant from Haiti granted entry by Kamala and her horrible policies, and in particular her phone app, which nobody can even believe exists. And the people that deal with the phone app are the cartel heads, if you can believe this. They're actually put there, I believe, for the heads of the cartels. And they call it and they tell you exactly where to illegally bring the people that they've, in many cases, abducted. The phone app.
Yeah, again, it's just crazy what that app is doing and how it's allowing child trafficking and trafficking just in general. It's pretty crazy what's going on. Here's Melania sat down with Ainsley. This is a really good part of this interview. And yeah, it needs to be heard. Check it out.
Well, how I see it is the records speaks for itself. The country is suffering. People are not able to buy usual necessities for the families. We have wars going on around the world. Soldiers are dying. They were dying under this administration because of weak leadership. The border is open and dangerous. A lot of fentanyl is coming over, killing our youth. It's very hard to see. And an economy, it's really not great. Inflation is high. And if we compare these 4 years under this administration compared to 4 years under my husband as commander-in-chief, he was leading the country through peace, through strength. And the border was safer than ever before. We didn't have any wars. people were prospering, they had jobs, they could support their families. So I think American people need to decide what they really want. Maybe some, strong tweets, but everything else great for this country. So it's all in the American people's hands on November 5th.
Amen. I like her. I like her a lot. She's just a sweet lady. Here is more. Kash Patel just going off about this Iran assassination threat to Trump. Just so much bad stuff going on. Oh, good Lord. Anyway, here's more of it.
They stand back immorally and in the most un-American way and let this happen. Hacking and assassination plots against Donald Trump because it benefits them.
You're absolutely right. It's disgraceful, their conduct. It might even be borderline unconstitutional. They are intentionally standing down the intelligence apparatus of this country. They are reprioritizing intelligence collections efforts for climate change and reprogramming agencies and departments based on DEI and white rage rather than what we did in the Trump administration, which is take on our adversaries head on. Iran, we shut them down from giving a nuclear bomb. And as you just noted, the Harris regime gave them $7 billion, and now they have one. The Iranians, we took out Qasem Soleimani under President Trump and shut down the IRGC and the Quds Force. And thanks to these guys, they are now halfway back into the Iran nuclear deal. And look at some of the folks that Biden and Harris have utilized for enhancing their relationship with Iran. Robert Malley, the special envoy, the super genius behind the original JCPOA, has been suspended by the FBI for mishandling classified information about Iran. And we get no details about it. He gets fired essentially from the State Department, and he goes off to teach at a lofty university while the American public is left blind. This type of intelligence capabilities from Iran take months and months and months to put out and plan, and they have the patience to do it. But our intelligence community, when focused on the threat, has the ability to detect it and prevent it and shut it down. And the Biden-Harris regime has intentionally delayed and only gave President Trump a briefing when he requested it. They weren't even proactive in going and defending this man because they don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, they want him dead. Let's say it the way it is. The Mayorkas doctrine is going to lead to America's ruin. This dude's funny. He absolutely, the one part of this that really jumped out, I mean, he's divisiveness in our country, just all the same rhetoric, right? Like it's everyone else's fault. It's all these damn MAGA people's fault. But what's funny is Mayorkas is so out of touch that he expected Americans to take the upheaval in their communities without complaint. As the chief architect of the Biden administration's pro-illegal immigration agenda, the secretary is now seething about the blowback his policies have received. When Mayorkas complains about the lack of progress on the immigration issue, he is expressing frustration that pushback from the American people has upset his ability to fully implement his destructive agenda. Folks, what that means is we're winning. We've kept them from what they've been trying to do. We are making a difference. Yes, much damage has been done, but yes, much damage was supposed to be worse. Much worse. And we've actually slowed that down. We're doing significantly better. So, yeah, Mayorkas is pissed. Another thing that's funny, too, and you got to keep this in mind, they keep getting pissed off about the fact that there's people like us that are saying things online that are incorrect, and it's challenging authority, and it's causing problems. But what's really funny is if everybody trusted the media, they wouldn't listen to people like me at all, would they? It's the fact that they're listening to people like us that's pissing off the deep state. The fact that they're listening to people like us is because their lies are so blatant that people see it now and don't listen to them. That's where their failure in democracy is actually occurring. It's not our fault for talking. It's the fact that they continually lie that people will not continue to let them be in charge. We realize we can't trust them anymore. We realize it. We see it. And so we are making a huge difference. Biden migrant superhighway is revealed. Millions in U.S. taxpayer cash has turned the world's deadliest smuggling route into a safe passage. Literally. They've taken that, the Darien Gap, the most dangerous place on the planet, and they've made it safer. That's how they've worked with this immigration problem. They've literally made it safer for mass migration to occur across the most dangerous part of this continent, or this supercontinent, I guess, if you count both North and South America. Yeah, pretty messed up. They literally made it safer. That's just beyond crazy. Tens of thousands of illegal immigrants with sexual assault, murder convictions are roaming the U.S. streets, is what ICE data is telling us. There's tens of thousands of illegal immigrants with sex offenses. Let's see, we got data says among those in detention, there are 425,000 convicted criminals and 222,000 with pending criminal charges. Those include 62,000 convicted of assault, 14,000 convicted of burglary, 56,000 with drug convictions, 13,000 convicted of homicide. An additional 2,500 have kidnapping convictions, and 16,000 basically have sexual assault convictions. It's insane what is actually happening right now. Here is a great little piece. Sean Ryan was on with Joe Rogan, and this is pretty awesome, talking about our immigration problems and, well, what he thinks is actually going on. Check it out.
I started digging deep, and I teamed up with the former CIA targeter, Sarah Adams, and then a really good friend of mine, Scott Mann. We went over to Vienna to interview this guy, Ahmad Massoud, who's the leader, the commander of the Northern Alliance out there. That's like the resistance. It's kind of fighting the Taliban. You know, the Taliban pretty much took over government in Afghanistan. And
I saw the parade.
Yeah.
With our stuff.
With all our shit that we left there.
Crazy.
Yeah, man. So we got a bunch of intel from Massoud and you know, like, so kind of looping all the way back around to the southern border. I mean, so once Taliban took control of all of our shit, I mean, this could go on for a while, but so now what they're doing is they have the passport office over there just making legitimate passports to there's 21 terrorist organizations over there training. Hamza bin Laden, who we were told was killed, is actually fucking alive, and he's marrying into all these other terrorist networks. So he married Mullah Omar's daughter. He married who else? He married into all these different terrorist networks, and so these guys used to be like competitors, kind of, you know, just like the UFO guys. They all hate each other, but they all have the one common theme, like disclosure. These guys, the one common thing is, you know, let's go take over the Western world. So he is basically Hamza bin Laden. Is married into all these terrorist organizations. Now they all have one common goal: to come over to, you know, the Western world and ruin our way of life. And so what they're doing is they're funneling as many of these terrorists into the passport office, creating them legitimate, real passports, and then they sprinkle them. They get them flights into all over South Central America, and then they funnel them up through the Darien Gap into the U.S. And so, you know, there is zero. I don't give a fuck what the FBI or any of these people are saying. There is zero way to track how many of these fuckers have come in to the U.S. And so, you know, now what we're going to see is like October 7th style attacks, like we just saw in Israel and in the mall in Russia, and everybody's like, oh, you know,
do you
why
think
hasn't it
this
happened
is
yet?
By design?
By design,
like the leaving the border porous, allowing these people to come in.
Absolutely, I think it's by design. I mean, they basically told Border Patrol, stand down. Like, do not do your fucking job. We're going to blast you. I mean, remember the guy on the horse that they said was whipping people, and it wound up being like the reins of the horse? I mean, yeah, I think it's by design, you know, from the government, but I think that the government is more incompetent than it's ever been before, and I think they have one common goal, and that I think the goal is voting. You know, they want them to vote, but I don't think they're competent enough to realize the death and destruction and the other repercussions that we're going to face by keeping that border open. You know, because they don't have anybody, you know, that they don't have anybody with any experience that they don't have any solid intelligence stuff going on that's telling them, like, hey, this is what's going to happen. It's all agenda driven.
Jesus Christ.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. It does make sense that all they care about is voting. is get the people in, don't worry about the consequences. But the more insidious conspiracy would be that they want unrest because it gives them an opportunity to clamp down on rights.
I mean, shit, though. Unrest, they got really good at unrest. You know what I mean? In 2020, right? All through, or even before 2020. Up to that election. So I don't think they need to import terrorism.
Yeah, but it's a different kind of unrest. The kind of unrest that you get from people blowing up Target is very different than the kind of unrest you get from a legitimate terror attack.
Yeah.
So true. So true. 2 independent sources, this is kind of scary. 2 independent sources have provided corroborating reports to our team stating 9 surface-to-air missiles have entered the U.S. through a New Mexico border point of entry. The intended recipients of these weapons are 3 teams operating within the U.S. whose intent is to target President Trump's airplane. Remember, there's 5 teams operating here, 3 of them from Iran. I wonder if that's the same 3. As Doc stated, the appropriate authorities have been notified. I'm posting this in conjunction with @DocPeteChambers posts since he's gone public with the information. So now we're coming to find out that they're smuggling missiles across the border so they can potentially shoot down Trump's airplane. I'm sure there's some protections being done on that regard, but wow. Victory is at hand, says Bannon from jail. Recent shifts in our few reliable polls in key districts and swing states show that hard-pressed Americans are decisively rejecting the phony politics of joy and the empty promises that define the Harris campaign. People are seeing through the word salad rhetoric. They're recognizing it for what it is. A nasty salad, frankly. To date, the Harris campaign has offered no real solutions to the struggles Americans face: inflation, rising crime, and weakening national security. These topics can't be masked by feel-good phrases, celebrity endorsements, or as many Oprah interviews as you want. Harris has peaked. The momentum is now on our side, and this is the time to capitalize on it. If the Make America Great Again movement focuses all of its efforts on a massive get-out-the-vote and ballot-chasing effort in the crucial days before the weeks up until November 5th, we will win, and win big. And my guess is that's a big part of what this meeting, where I'm one of 500 people that's been selected. And again, we'll get more information. Probably going to talk about it tomorrow, but we'll get more information to you guys about what that has to do with. But my guess is it's going to be largely pushing us to help push this get out and vote campaign, because it will literally make the biggest difference we can. Bad blood with Republicans drives a decline in Taylor Swift's poll numbers. Oh no, say it isn't so. Did we actually decide to sort of make Taylor Swift think twice about her political yearnings? Like, maybe you should just shut up and sing, Taylor. You're a wonderful artist, I guess. I don't really like your music that much, but a few of your songs are cool. You should just shut up and stay out of politics, sweetheart. Period. Because, yeah, she's had her numbers get hammered. About 47% of Republicans say they view Swift negatively in a poll conducted days after her presidential endorsement, a sharp uptick from the 26% who reported viewing her negatively in NBC's November 2023 poll, the last time she was included in the survey. So just 12% of Republicans report positive attitudes towards the singer, down from 28% last year. Yeah, it's hurting her album sales, that's for sure. Now she's, again, an uber billionaire, so, well, does she care? Doubtful, but anyway. House Intel Committee demands joint briefings from the FBI, SEC, regarding the CCP's operational arm, the TMU and PDD, which they have been using to illegally swipe Americans' data and commit forced slave labor. Every Republican member signed the letter. Dems, why won't you join? So again, this is another one of those things. Good job, Kash Patel. You've been doing just rock star work. And yeah, why don't you guys sign this? Why are you so pro-China, Democrats? What's going on? It's almost like you guys are communists. It's weird. Like, we'd want to assume you're Americans first, but it seems that's not really the case. We're finding out in Arizona, a state seized by false accusations of widespread election fraud. Many Democrats worry that casting any doubt on the election process will be weaponized by Donald Trump and his allies. And what they're referring to is an Arizona Democrat just lost a primary by 39 votes and didn't challenge the outcome. Now, again, it was a primary, so it sounds like maybe the deep state person didn't win, or does it really not matter and they're just trying to make a big deal? We're not fighting over this. Yeah, so what? It's the primary. You guys are still going to get a Democrat probably running, so you don't care because both of the Democrats I'm sure running are corrupt, right? So, again, this is them trying to play games with what's going on in the world, and it works for their people, but not for us. The Republican Party is less white than ever. Let's thank Donald Trump for that. So we've got some fun little numbers that are out regarding the color and breakdown. So in poll after poll, he's hitting or exceeding the levels of support he received in 2020 from Latino and Hispanic voters. He's primed to make inroads amongst Asian American voters whose Democrat loyalty has gradually been declining over the last few election cycles. And the number he's posting with black voters suggests the largest racial realignment in an election since the signing of the Civil Rights Act in 1964. Folks, we're making a huge difference. Inroads are happening. No question about it. Now, some good news from North Carolina, right? State Board of Elections has removed 747,000 from its list of registered voters within the last 20 months. State Board of Elections in this release said the majority of those stripped from the rolls were deemed ineligible to be registered because they had moved within the state and did not register their new address, or because they did not participate in the past 2 federal elections, prompting an inactive status. Other reasons for removal include death, felony convictions, out-of-state moves, and personal requests for removal. So they have removed 747,000 people from the voter rolls in North Carolina, one of our major battleground states. That's a huge win. Georgia Supreme Court ruled that votes from third-party presidential candidates Cornel West and Claudia de la Cruz would not be counted. So you can vote for them. They made it on the ballot, but they're not going to be counted. Apparently, they didn't submit these signatures in the name of one of the 16 possible state electors. I guess it's something they have to do. They didn't do it. What I do find interesting about this is Georgia, they wouldn't let RFK Jr. be on the ballot, if I remember correctly. And also now they're not letting these votes count, which means it's really just going to come down to 2 people, Trump or Harris. No other possibilities, which I think is going to benefit us. I think more people are going to have to go towards Trump. They're going to have to because of how things have played out and where Georgia's at in the big picture. I don't know, we'll see. But I think it's very interesting that they're limiting the competition, which would actually thin down and then dilute the vote for both parties. And they're not actually letting that happen in at least Georgia. I don't know, kind of strange. I feel like that's probably going to benefit us more than them per se. Jesse says testimony today at the first Assassination Task Force hearing revealed that SWAT leaders weren't told about Iran's plot, and if they knew, well, they would have acted differently.
The House Assassination Task Force held its first hearing today. Local law enforcement testified that minutes before crooks opened fire, multiple calls went out on different radio channels, sending an alert to the feds, but it was a black hole.
Here we've got the local folks, the sheriff, the state police, all of whom have their own channels and not all of whom are able to listen and hear to one another. Can you briefly talk a little bit about the Secret Service and whether or not you think they could hear you?
I do not believe they could hear us at all. They did not have a radio from us, and we did not have a radio from them. So, in the local command post, there was no way for us to hear any of the Secret Service radio traffic.
Not only were communications shot, the locals were kept in the dark. SWAT leaders said they weren't told about Iran's plot to kill Trump. And if they'd known that, it would have changed everything.
Were you made aware that Iran has ongoing assassination plots against President Trump that are active and ongoing right now as we speak, including to the run-up?
No.
To July 13th?
I am not aware.
Was it ever discussed with you that an Iranian operative has transited Venezuela and was in the United States, according to FBI public notice made in March, recruiting hitmen to kill President Trump?
It was not.
Were you made aware on July 13th or on July 12th that day the FBI had arrested a Pakistani national, Mr. Merchan, with ties to Iran, putting down payments, actual cash, down payments to recruit hitmen?
No.
Were you aware that that same operative were recruiting women as spotters and recruiting protesters as a distraction? A fairly sophisticated plot being run by a foreign state actor intelligence agency?
No.
Not aware.
Mr. Sullivan, in your experience, would that change how you operated? Would that heighten your level of coordination, assets?
Absolutely, Mr. Waltz. It would be a tremendous game changer.
The feds were hiding the Iranian threat from Butler authorities and then delegating all of the responsibilities to them. The task force also revealing never-before-seen dashcam footage that shows crooks on the roof of the AGR building for over 3 minutes before shots were fired. Trump was allowed to stay on stage even as officials were racing to crooks with guns drawn. Former First Lady Melania Trump speaking out to our very own Ainsley Earhart about July 13th. Listen.
When I saw it, it was only, nobody really knew yet, right? Because when you see him on the floor and you don't know what really happened.
And then a few weeks later, there's another attempt on your husband's life at your golf course. Where were you and what was your reaction to this attempt?
I was in New York City, actually, and I saw it on the television. And as soon as I saw it on television, I called again, and he was okay because Secret Service were great. The guys that they were with him, they were fantastic. And I think both of the events, they were really miracles.
Early voting is starting throughout the country, and Trump's campaign rallies are now at risk because of the Biden-Harris administration.
And apparently missile attacks and everything else under the sun. Yeah, they are definitely, I mean, the deep state's the deep state, okay? This is the Biden-Harris administration is the deep state. We just really need to keep tabs on that, keep that under control. Democrat lawmakers on the House task force investigating the attempted assassination of former President Trump, they skipped a final portion of the panel's first hearing on Thursday. The first portion was we were kind of seeing some evidence of. Apparently, the second portion, they say they weren't made aware of it. I don't know if it happened secretly because the Republicans were afraid that they might try to head it off in some strange way. I don't know. I feel like there's some drama around this, but whatever the case was, Democrats weren't there for that. And the Republican side of this is like, look, we're hoping to get things back to, hunky-dory and working together again. So something weird happened on this second meeting. Maybe it was never supposed to include them for whatever reason. I don't know, hard to say. The Democrats have definitely done stuff like that before in the past, so it is what it is. Here's Donald Trump talking about how they should, essentially go after Nancy Pelosi for a couple things. You'll see.
And Nancy Pelosi has a little problem because her husband sold their Visa stock. They had a lot of Visa stock one day before Visa. It was announced that Visa is being sued by the Department of Justice. Think of that. Nancy Pelosi sold vast amounts of Visa stock one day before the big lawsuit that we all read about a few days ago was brought against Visa. You think it was luck? I don't think. She should be prosecuted. Nancy Pelosi should be prosecuted for that. And she should also be prosecuted for J6 because she turned down 10,000 or any number she wanted, soldiers or National Guard. And I hope you all read John Solomon and what John Solomon wrote 2 days ago, because if you read it, you'd see that Donald Trump did absolutely nothing wrong. It's a scam. It's a scam.
Damn straight. And we're continuing to fight. We're never going to give up. Trump rally moved over because Secret Service staffing concerns. I'm going to be honest. I don't think Secret Service ever had staffing to be able to handle rallies of this magnitude, plus trying to defend everyone else, plus the UN's here. Look, I'm going to give them a little bit of credit on this. I don't think they deserve it, so please forgive me for doing this. But they don't just have endless resources, and we've also seen that they've been using Department of Homeland Security members to help. And we also know they're not very good. I mean, there were a bunch of them actually working the Butler rally. So we have a big you that's going on right now. They don't have the staff and manpower. They did get some extra money recently, but that doesn't immediately mean you can hire people, right? Like you have to train people. You can't just like, oh, okay, and start grabbing like clerks from 7-Eleven and be like, hey, do you want to be Secret Service? Like, it just doesn't work like that. So I mean, it's probably on purpose too that we're as thin as we are, and I don't give our administration any credit at all right now. But again, I feel like it's a little more complicated than we're making it. Justice Department charges 3 Iranians over their involvement in the Trump campaign emails hack. Yeah, they basically said these 3 dudes are, these 3 men that are named. They're part of the Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard. We're never going to arrest them, but they've called out Masoud Jalili, Sayed Ali Agamiri, and Yassar Balaghi. I don't know how you say that. Balaghi. Anyway, they've charged all these guys with a series of crimes ranging from computer hacking to everything under the sun, supporting materials to foreign actors and all sorts of stuff. So, yeah, they're doing that, but it doesn't mean crap, does it? Judges press the New York Attorney General as Trump appeals his $454 million fraud judgment. Kind of surprising this is going the way it is. I mean, they're asking tough questions on both sides of the fence, but it kind of sounds like they might actually be kind of looking like first off, there weren't really any people that were injured on this. It is reasonably old. The amount of money that they're going after him for is extraordinary. So there's a lot of discussions around that. Both sides had their comments to make, of course. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But, the defendant's statements were not made for ordinary people, noted the Associate Justice David Friedman. They were directed at some of the most sophisticated actors in the business. Again, a lot of it was like the deal was made with the banking institutions and all this stuff. And there was all sorts of contractual stuff involved. So this idea that anyone was injured or hurt is not true. All the loans were paid off. They said that he got a higher loan than he should have been able to get. And that really seems to be one of their largest arguments is he got more money than he should have been able to get. And it's like, okay, but he paid it all back anyway. So who cares? Normally when you get too much money and then you don't pay, that's when the problems occur. If you get too much money and you're still able to pay it back, who cares? Really? So, I don't know. We'll see. This is just so much stupid. So much stupid. Like levels of stupid on top of stupid. It's impressive. This is Zelenskyy basically saying he wanted to meet with Trump, and so he essentially does. And we've got that actual interview coming up here in a second, and I thought it was actually pretty good. So rather than reading the stupid letter of Zelenskyy saying, I think it would be a good idea if we get together and look at our faces in front of each other. Your face, my face, we just like the faces together. So instead of that, let's actually... Oh, yeah, Trump basically said, yeah, I'm going to be there. Well, here's Trump. He's actually there, and he's talking about it. Only president in modern history who isn't a warmonger. So, kind of cool. But, yeah, they're asking if he's going to meet with Zelenskyy tomorrow, which he does. Yeah, it's 49 seconds. I can play this real quick.
We'll see what happens.
What's your message to Zelenskyy tomorrow?
Let's get some peace. We need peace. We need to stop the death and destruction. Don't you think? Wouldn't that be nice? Huh?
Do you have a plan to meet Benjamin Netanyahu in person?
Well, we're going to meet a lot of people. Many of the leaders have been calling me, and they want to meet. So I guess they see the poll numbers. We're leading in the polls, by the way, very seriously. The Daily Mail just came out with a very big poll, and we're up by 10. So that's an honor. But we have no choice. If we don't win this election, we're not going to have a country. Thank you very much.
Will you divest from your crypto company if you win?
Yep. So here's Trump talking to Zelenskyy. Well, first off, what's kind of funny, just a quick comparison of the two. Here's the picture of Zelenskyy and Kamala. As soon as they finish the press conference, Kamala bolts, doesn't want to take any questions from anybody. He's like eager to talk to anybody. He doesn't give a crap. This guy's a salesman. And here's Trump taking questions from everybody after he finished the interview, unlike our ridiculous current president, or vice president, not sure. So yeah, just had a great meeting with President Zelenskyy of Ukraine. If I'm elected president, the war in Russia and Ukraine will end quickly. If not, the war will never end and will phase into World War III. Comrade Harris will never be able to end the war and hasn't. Nothing will change except the death and destruction will only get worse. MAGA 2024. I thought I had his interview. I swear I thought I had it. Maybe I lost it somewhere. President Trump's going to meet with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Thursday. That's a bummer I don't have that because it was really a good interview. And there's no way I'll find it. But damn, that sucks. So yeah, they did have a great meeting. Too bad I couldn't share it with you. President Trump did end up meeting with Keir Starmer. They had dinner for a couple hours. That's just interesting. Again, all the people that Trump has been talking to and continues to talk to. Obviously, they know who is going to be in charge in the coming days. Jack Smith files evidence in Trump's 2020 election subversion case. They did finally file this, 190 pages or whatever the hell it was. 180 pages, sorry. Normally it's 45 pages. This was 4 times bigger than that. So Trump's lawyers are not happy about this. Judge Chutkan doesn't give a crap. It's not going to let any sort of political things get in the way. So again, she doesn't care about rules, law, things that we used to do in the past. Nope. Again, the deep state doesn't care at all. Prominent House Democrat is introducing legislation Friday that would prevent former President Trump from dismissing his ongoing criminal prosecutions if he were to win the presidency again. This new bill, which is shared exclusively with Time ahead of its release, even though it's not going to go anywhere. That's what's kind of funny. It's being led by Rep. Adam Schiff, the Democratic nominee for California's Senate seat, who has been leading Trump's antagonist. He says his bill, which would prevent a sitting president from quashing a criminal prosecution against him or herself, aims to ensure that no president can use their position to evade accountability. He can pardon himself. That's what they're trying to stop. They're trying to take away the presidential pardon ability. Congress wants to be in charge of everything. This is what democracy is to them, is Congress being in charge. Congress having more power than the other 2 branches, the other 2 equal branches that are meant to make sure that nobody has more power than the others. Or, in some cases, to make sure we don't end up like where Brazil's at, for example, or where Venezuela was at, or is at, I should say. That's not going to happen. Adam Schiff is a pile of trash, and Adam Schiff's going to be probably in jail soon, or possibly hanging from a rope in Gitmo, maybe. I don't know if he chooses the rope or maybe a firing squad. I'm not sure what he's going to choose. I don't even know. That'd be a tough choice if you think about it. All said, one of those things is going to pop into his world, probably, like his neck. TWC.health/OTF. TWC.health/OTF. Folks, the wellness company is awesome. And they've got amazing products that are going to help keep you safe while we go through the next pandemic. I saw some video of some dude. He died, in 2016? Prophesized a whole bunch of stuff, if you will. And supposedly, I guess a lot of it's come true, though to me, it was kind of wishy-washy a little bit. All said, he does say that the first virus that they ran through was not real, which I think most of us agree. He did say the second one might be the one we've got coming up. So who knows what the case is, but I will tell you there's a couple real key products that you want to take advantage of with the wellness company. One, they got a whole lot of great things. In fact, they got memberships you can get into. If you're trying to get off, or if you want virtual care, maybe you're trying to get off of pharma, maybe you're just looking for some long COVID relief, some vaccine injury, medical emergency kits. They've got a whole bunch of cool stuff that you can check into. They got memberships to help with stuff. So they got some really great products and services that they offer. Amazing stuff. But the one big one, the spike support formula, this is actually a formula that literally binds to that spike protein and helps remove it out of your system. So if you've got spikes because you rolled your sleeve up and got your own spikes induced by yourself, or maybe you live with someone that rolled their sleeve up and you're worried about any of the spikes that they might be getting into you every time you kiss or whatever, or every time you sleep next to them. The spike support formula helps remove those from your body. It's literally designed to bind solely to that cleavage spot where that spike happens, and it binds to that specifically, and then it renders it useless, and then it pulls it out of your body. So the spike support formula is very powerful on keeping you toxin-free, if you will. So that's a huge one. Also, the med kits. There's a number of them that are really good. The contagion one is an antiviral kit. Let's call it that because it actually works better, in my opinion. But it handles any sort of viral issue. You've got ivermectin that it comes with. You've got hydroxychloroquine that it comes with. It's got the Z-Pak that it comes with. It's got a generic Tamiflu that it comes with. Also, it's got a nebulizer and the generic Pulmicort. So that's it's an inhaled corticosteroid. It's a breathing treatment. It helps reduce inflammation. So if you get that really nasty upper respiratory infection, this thing can actually help save lives. And again, they give you the nebulizer as well. And it gives you 5 vials. So you've got plenty. This one kit is meant for one person. It's up to you on how you want to try to roll with that, okay? Probably could get by with 2 people on this as long as it's not a super, super bad sickness. If it is a super, super bad sickness, yeah, you're going to want one of these for each of you. But however it plays out, I highly recommend this contagion kit. It is amazing. This is one of those things where you probably want to make sure your kids have one, you've got one, your wife has one, or your wife and you or whatever. However it works. I don't know if I'm talking to a man or a woman, frankly, right now. I'm talking to both. I know that much. Check out the contagion kit. It'll save lives. It definitely will give you antiviral medications that will save your life if you get a bad flu or a bad some sort of H1, H5, H7, whatever, H17, whatever one we're up to at that point. You got to put it in your own hands, folks. We know what they're going to try to do. We know what they want us to do. They want us to go down and run into their lab, take their little nasal poking test, and then roll up our sleeve for them. You don't have to do that. You've got other opportunities, other options. Go to twc.health/OTF. TWC, the wellness company. twc.health/OTF. Take matters into your own hands, folks, because frankly, if we trust them, you're going to be in a world of hurt, and you know it. I know it. We all know it. Let's not trust them. Ken Klippenstein, he was the one that leaked J.D. Vance's personal information, doxed him hardcore. He released his information on X. He has had his account, shut down temporarily, they're saying. Temporarily suspended, maybe until he deletes that post, not sure. Whatever the case is, yeah, he was taken down. I don't think he cares, probably, but whatever. Federal judge orders EPA further regulate fluoride in drinking water due to concerns over lowered IQ in kids. This is a huge victory. A federal judge, Judge Edward Chen, ruled Tuesday that the scientific evidence of fluoride's health risks when ingested at current prescribed levels requires stricter regulations under the 2016 Toxic Substance Control Act. The act provides a legal pathway for citizens to petition the EPA to consider whether an industrial chemical presents health risks. Chen, in his 80-page ruling, wrote there is little dispute over whether fluoride is hazardous and ordered the EPA to take steps to lower that risk, but didn't say what those measures should be. And indeed, EPA's own experts agree that fluoride is hazardous at some level of exposure, the judge said. And ample evidence established that a mother's exposure to fluoride during pregnancy is associated with IQ decrements in her offspring. Now, he did also say, this order does not dictate precisely what the response must be. Amended TSCA leaves that decision in the first instance to the EPA. One thing the EPA cannot do, however, in the face of this court's findings, is to ignore that risk. If the court finds anew that the chemical at issue presents an unreasonable risk, if it then orders the EPA to engage in rulemaking regarding the chemical, the judge says. The EPA is afforded the first instance the authority to respond. Regulatory actions can range from requiring a mere warning label to banning the chemicals. So we'll see where that goes, but that's a huge first step. What once seemed to be a shock and awe campaign of prosecutorial force, one the department has regularly characterized as the largest and most complex investigation in history, appears increasingly squeezed by legal challenges and political threats. Ongoing court battles threaten to erase or undermine some of the 1,500 cases that have been brought against participants in the riot, January 6th. And prosecutors' tactical choices are the subject of new scrutiny from appeals courts. Those disputes could wind up in another high-stakes confrontation before the Supreme Court. The High Court has already gutted the key felony charges that prosecutors have used in hundreds of J6 cases, leading the Justice Department to drop a slew of its most serious criminal counts. And a federal appeals court rejected another tactic prosecutors had used to drive up sentencing for January 6 defendants, forcing judges to recalculate prison time in some cases. Above all, Trump's promise to pardon the rioters, even those who assaulted police, and that's, I don't think, true, by the way. He said he would pardon some. This is a political article, so this part here I do not believe is true. Trump has been not specific about everybody. He said some of them. Anybody that assaulted police officers, I'm pretty sure, are going to stay in jail. Just how it's going to have to work. And Trump is very pro-police. So I don't think that's actually a true statement. His own criminal case for seeking to subvert for seeking to subvert the 2020 election is teetering and would collapse if he retakes the White House. Yeah, so we are shutting down this J6 nonsense as well. Been a lot going on. A lot happening in the world, too. This is just kind of funny. A reporter asks about Zelenskyy, says Russia's planning on starting World War III. This foreign minister, what's his, Zavlov? What the hell's his name? Whatever the hell. Here's him.
President Zelenskyy said that Russia plans to use tactical nuclear weapons.
He says many things. Depends on what he drinks or what he smokes. He says many things.
Love it. I love it. They just don't mess around at all over there in Russia. Oh, here it is. Crap. Okay. Yeah, I guess this makes sense to have it here. I did talk about it. It's 5 minutes. I think it's pretty good. Here's Trump with Zelenskyy. And actually, Trump handles really well and is pretty cool to Zelenskyy. And I almost feel like Zelensky's kind of like cool with it as well. In fact, there's a funny AI-generated video that's running around right now. I was going to play it, but I'm like, it's got AI in it, and it's just, I didn't want to risk the problems that can go with it. But it shows Trump walking, and then it shows this like midget version of Zelenskyy walking with him, like really fast, like a little child. It's pretty damn funny. Whatever the case is, here's the meeting.
Both are. Okay, thank you so much. First of all, it's very important to share all our steps, how we can strengthen Ukraine. And of course, we have to decide it now, because after November, we don't know who is, only Americans decide who will be the president. But we understand that till November, we can't stop Putin. We have to do it. We will try on the battlefield with our heroic soldiers, but we understand that after November, we have to decide, and we hope that the strength of the United States will be very strong, and we count on it. That's why I decided to meet with both candidates with all honor to them. Thank you.
Mr. President. Yeah, Mr. President Trump. So what are your expectations about this meeting? So what I expect to hear from the President Zelenskyy, and what are your expectations?
Say it a little louder, please.
What are your expectations from this meeting? What do you expect to hear from Mr.
Nothing.
President?
Look, this is a meeting, and we have a big race going on right now. I guess 37 days left, and we're leading in the polls, and so we'll see how it all works out. Hopefully it'll work out, but if it does, we're going to work very much with both parties to try and get this settled and get it worked out. It has to end at some point. It has to end. He's gone through hell, and this country has gone through hell like few countries have ever, like it's happened anywhere. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. It's a terrible situation. And I will say I've had a great relationship. It was very honorable. I don't even know if you know this, but when they did the impeachment hoax, it was a hoax, just a Democrat hoax, which we won. But one of the reasons we won it so easily is that when the president was asked, it was over a phone call with the president, and he said he could have grandstanded and played cute, but he didn't do that. He said, President Trump did absolutely nothing wrong. He said it loud and clear, and the impeachment hoax died right there. He could have said, well, I don't know, I don't know. And I never even told you this, to be honest, but he was like a piece of steel. He said President Trump did nothing wrong. We had a very nice call. He congratulated me on his victory. He just won. I remember that. He could have played cute, and he didn't play cute. And so I appreciated that. So we have a very good relationship. And I also have a very good relationship, as you know, with President Putin. And I think if we win, I think we're going to get it resolved very quickly. I really think we're going to get it resolved.
I hope we have more good relations.
We're going to have. Oh, I see. Yeah, but you know, it takes two to tango. You know, and we will. We're going to have a good meeting today. And I think the fact that we're even together today is a very good sign. And hopefully we'll have a good victory, because the other side wins. I don't think you're going to have victories with anything, to be honest with you. So we're going to sit down, just discuss it. And if we have a win, I think long before January 20th, before I would take the presidency, it's January 20th. But long before that, I think that we can work out something that's good for both sides. It's time. And by the way, the president knows that too. He wants to get something done. He doesn't want to do this. And so we look forward to having them. I mean, I look forward to being with him. But what I said is true. He was a piece of steel. He gave a very honest, straight answer, and that it really essentially ended the impeachment hoax. And I appreciated that. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank
you very much, everybody.
Please ask for right?
Oh, okay. Guess we got a practically minute of extra stuff there, but that's okay. But yes, it was a good meeting. I thought he handled that well. That's why we'd rather Trump be handling the situation than someone like Kamala, who's just horrible, absolutely horrible, and it's not going to be able to negotiate anything. I'm going to skip this. It was actually funny, but it's not worth doing. Here is Netanyahu, and maybe this is the one that I should have played. It's not what I thought it was. Oh yeah, this is when Netanyahu shows up, everyone walks out. This is pretty messed up. And we'll play what Netanyahu's words were right after.
Ladies and gentlemen, order. Order, please.
And once again, it demonstrates how one side of this equation is never going to be able to solve the problem because it's only their way or the highway. There's no negotiations. There's no discussions. But look, people broke into Israel, literally, and then killed over 1,000 Jews, 1,000 Israelis, and some Americans. And we don't care about that, it seems, as a Democrat, right? That's not something that Democrats care about. So they walk out when the side that got attacked actually is about to speak. You can never have peace on this world if you refuse to listen to both sides. In fact, you will always have war, which is what the deep state wants. They foment war. They want war. They need war. Now, here's Netanyahu, who's just badass at this point. I used to have a lot of questions. I'm actually, I don't know, starting to warm up a lot. I think he's actually doing work for the good side right now. I was curious, but his actions have been pretty awesome. I gotta give Bibi some points. I think the man's been doing an excellent job, and hopefully we can minimize the amount of people that have to die. But boy, oh boy, they had a tough day in Lebanon. We'll get there in a second. But here's Bibi talking about how pissed off he is at the deep state, essentially.
I didn't intend to come here this year. My country is at war, fighting for its life. But after I heard the lies and slanders leveled at my country by many of the speakers at this podium, I decided to come here and set the record straight. I decided to come here to speak for my people, to speak for my country, to speak for the truth. And here's the truth. Israel seeks peace. Israel yearns for peace. Israel has made peace and will make peace again.
Oh, I wanted to hear so much more. Damn, that's a crap place to cut it off. But yes, Israel has and will make peace again once they solidify the bad guys. Well, or turn them into dust, I guess, better than solidify. Huge sources, or many sources close to Hezbollah, are saying Israel strikes flattened 6 buildings in Beirut. This explosion doesn't do the justice that this will do. This is pretty crazy. First off, we're going to start with their Minister of War, or whatever this dude's name or title is. Strong words. And then this one right here. Oh, boy, prepare. Big, big booms. Big bada boom. Majorly. I don't know if you guys ever saw The Fifth Element. Bada big boom. Love it. Lilu Dallas multipass. All that good stuff. Here, anyways, check it out.
Moments ago, the Israel Defense Forces carried out a precise strike on the central headquarters of the Hezbollah terror organization that served as the epicenter of Hezbollah's terror. Hezbollah's central headquarters was intentionally built under residential buildings in the heart of the Dahia in Beirut, as part of Hezbollah's strategy of using Lebanese people as human shields. On October 8th, Hezbollah started attacking Israel. After almost a year of Hezbollah firing rockets, missiles, and suicide drones at Israeli civilians, after almost a year of Israel warning the world and telling them that Hezbollah must be stopped, Israel is doing what every sovereign state in the world would do if they had a terror organization that seeks their destruction on their border, taking the necessary action to protect our people so that Israeli families can leave their homes safely and securely.
And they are. And here is the attack. And boy, this is a pretty big attack. Now, I got to be honest, one of the weirdest things I'm noticing about this, and this is only because I'm sort of looking into potentially getting solar panels. I live in California. We get a lot of sun. It's actually not a bad idea out here, especially. And we lose power all the time, so being able to have a backup is kind of my thing, right? I've done that. I've got backup internet as well. This is funny how those panels seem to take very close to these explosions, and they're like, yeah, no, we're still working. We're still generating power. Whatever the case is, yeah, big attacks going on in Lebanon. Lots of damage coming from it. Something else we're hearing that's very concerning. We talked about yesterday how there was a rather large incursion into the airspace of Taiwan and Japan. They've been messing with a little bit too, but mostly Taiwan. Chinese President Xi Jinping may be on the verge of doing something horrendous after sending 2 war signals within 10 days of each other. So he's done this twice within 10 days, and many people right now that seem to feel like they understand how Xi thinks actually think that the Taiwan thing might be happening very soon. Again, they can't wait till Trump's in office. This needs to happen before then. This is also something that's going to hurt the stock market. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. I'm telling you, if you're sitting in stocks right now and cash in stocks, we got a lot of stuff that we're gonna go through that is not gonna help that. Not to mention the fact that they're trying to screw with our inflation. But yeah, there's a very, very big possibility that something is going on. His comments come after the Ministry of Defense of People's Republic of China announced that its military had launched an intercontinental ballistic missile on Wednesday morning. The missile, which carried a dummy warhead and was not targeting any particular nation, fell into the ocean without incident. The People's Liberation Army's Rocket Force claims that the launch was part of its routine military training calendar. That's a war signal. That's a second war signal that we've gotten from China in the last 10 days, which means that Xi Jinping is about to do something truly horrendous, Chang warns. That's probably true, unfortunately. So yeah, a lot going on. Diddy, got a few stories to cover here. First off, Diddy plays the race card, his lawyer does anyway, as he claims the feds are just trying to tear down a successful black man. That's just stupid. Dude, you got so many bad things against you, Diddy. Has nothing to do with the fact that you're black at all. That's just stupid. And frankly, I think everybody's tired of hearing that kind of bullshit. Now, this is very weird. Check this out. This is where Diddy lives, by the way.
So, what have we here?
Diddy literally lives across this teeny little amount of water from a container facility. Literally, this close across the water. This is where his 2 houses are. This is right here, where the container stuff starts. This is a tiny area. Are you telling me you're this rich and this is what you want to see as your scenery? No. Is he probably there because part of what he's involved with has things show up in container cars? I say things, really person, place, or things is how nouns are described, aren't they? Yeah, that close. Just something to think about. That's where his 2 homes are, folks. Yeah, this isn't because he's black. Pretty sure. Finally, sex worker turns over alleged Diddy freak-off tape. This is the dude in jail, I believe. I think it's that guy that's, Suggs, whatever his name is. I think that's who this person is. Or this is that guy that's supposedly had sex with him. I forget who put the information on this particular story. I think it's actually the guy that's in jail right now, and I don't think that's Sugg. I think that's actually that other guy that was gay for sure, and that's what he's talking about with this freak-off tape. It was with Diddy, with him, and I guess a lady. So this is what tape they handed over. There's going to be some very bad stuff on there, most likely. Oh, I guess this might be some of it. But yeah, there he is. Oh, wow. Just all the wrong people. Hollywood moguls, the music industry. Yeah, Diddy is notorious for throwing these kinds of crazy-ass parties. And they loved young boys. Loved the young boys. Was it, which one is that? I forget which that guy. I forget his name. Not really good with names, you guys know that. CNN on Thursday night handed over a batch of internal documents to their legal team representing the U.S. Navy veteran Zachary Young, basically giving all their financial stuff to make sure that they can afford the lawsuit that this individual is putting towards him. Zachary Young, he was a U.S. Navy veteran that was very much slimed and destroyed by CNN. He's suing CNN for that, and this will be a very, very interesting case. They tried to settle. He wouldn't let them because he wants the truth to come out. He's not so much doing this for the money, though he deserves some. No, he's doing this because this has to be done, especially because of how they're going after people on the right, people like Trump, like the Haitians who are suing Vance and Trump for talking about how Haitians are eating cats. There was stories being fed. J.D. Vance actually is from Ohio, and there's people telling him this stuff. There's no lawsuit there at all, in fact, but yeah, frivolous maybe at best. This is going to get ugly for the deep state, for sure. The bloodbath keeps getting worse at the Walt Disney Corporation. They've got a new round of layoffs going on, expecting to affect now the corporate wing of their C-suite, as sometimes they call it. Estimated 300 people affected in this layoff starting Tuesday and are continuing at least through Thursday, according to a Deadline report. The employees affected are all over the U.S., with multiple divisions impacted, including legal, human resources, finance, and communications, according to the separate report from The Wrap. My favorite part is the bullshit that's in this last part. The layoffs represent the latest round of cutting at Disney, which has been trying to right its financial ship amid continued cord cutting as well as pessimistic consumer sentiment tied to the record inflation under the Biden-Harris administration. No. Disney, you continue to do the DEI. You continue to put this transgender stuff in front of us. You continue to ruin movies and movies that have been special to us. And you continue to ruin them in your DEI efforts. No, Disney, you are doing poorly because you woke and went broke. That's why, Disney. Yeah, the Harris administration's totally screwed up the economy. That's not why people don't like you. You guys got hammered because every movie you make now sucks, and most people don't want to spend money at your parks anymore. I'll be honest, Disneyland was my favorite place to go, literally, and I have not been since. At all. My favorite place. I live 20 minutes from it. I could go anytime I want. In fact, this time of year, well, in about a month, they actually start to offer discounts if you're a resident nearby. And I can't. My favorite place. Truly one of the happiest places on earth. At least it used to be. Disney, you suck. You guys ruined a great thing. Nearly 130 Pizza Hut restaurants in several locations throughout the South and Midwest are going to be closing, potentially, anyways. Oddly, they're all owned by one group. They're all franchises, but literally one group, one dude, or whatever, owns all 130 of them. Well, he's got all sorts of financial problems going on right now, so yeah, it's a strong chance that he, through his bankruptcy, may lose these restaurants. Not so sure if someone else will try to buy them. I actually like Pizza Hut. I mean, they're not a bad chain. I kind of like most of the chains. You know, Domino's, Pizza Hut, we got Little Caesars, right? We got Papa John's, not too bad. Round Table's one we have out here. I don't know if you guys have that all over the place, but they're pretty good. Again, I don't know. I like to make my own pizza, and I'd rather go to a good Italian restaurant and get pizza, but yeah, that commercial pizza's not horrible. Not horrible. Oh, this is kind of funny. It's too long. They basically called Justin Trudeau a homosexual, saying he was getting it on with some dude in a bathhouse, and then he started making comments back and forth, and then their little parliament guy kept standing up. This dude, he kept standing. It was so lame. It's just, I want to play it, but it ain't worth the 3.5 minutes. But yeah, it was just ridiculous. This guy is so, their politics up there in Canada. Canucks, what is going on? You guys got to get Trudeau the hell out of there. Anyway, crazy stuff going on, folks. We are making a difference. We are making a huge difference. In about 2 hours from now, I will be doing a live music show, and in about 3.5 hours from now, I'm going to be getting on with my good friend, the Alpha Warrior, as we do Synchronicity today. It's a great show. In fact, let me try to at least show you the channel names so we can help any of you guys that want to join. I know a lot of this is going to come out before, or you'll probably be watching this after we've already gone live, but you should at least check out the show after the effect. It's a lot of fun. But it's called Synchronicity. Literally, you go to rumble.com, Channel is C, channel, right? Synchronicity is the name. I know we call it the Synchronicity Podcast, but it's actually just search Synchronicity, and you'll find this channel. We'll be doing a show tonight, almost for sure. You never know. Sometimes things come up in Alpha's world. And I'm also curious if he's going to be part of the thing that's coming up. I'm hoping he's one of the 500 people. I'm also going to ask him about that before we go live. But all things considered, we've got a lot happening in the world. There are some plays being made. There's a bunch of us that are organizing behind the scenes. We are going into this last round, this last month and a half, 6 weeks. We're going in it ready to play. We're rolling up our sleeves. Or in my case, I've got baseball sleeves, so they're already kind of pre-rolled. We're going to kick some ass, guys. And it's got to be because you guys are helping us. We're making a difference. We're making a huge difference. Again, like Trump said, his polls are up almost 10 points in that new, I think, Daily Mail poll he said that was out. That's significant because that's kind of a left-leaning rag as well. We're doing our jobs, guys. Keep it up. Keep it up. We've got a hard part coming. We're definitely going to have some crazy stuff happen over the next period of time. Be as ready and prepared as you can. We don't know when, don't know where, don't know how. But we know stuff is coming. Be prepared. Have all your bases covered. Again, we don't know what angle it's coming from. If you're prepared in the few areas, if you make sure you get your toilet paper and stuff, whatever your thing is, like for me, it's paper towels. Like I don't want to run out of paper towels. Like I can wash my butt in the shower. I'm not worried about it. That's what has to happen, right? Toilet paper is not the biggest problem. Paper towels I like. They're a big deal to me. They're clean. They're easy to use. They're easy to wipe. They're good for napkins. There's just a lot of things that I like about paper towels, right? So we all have our own little things. Make sure you got your stuff. Whatever it is, have some extra. Be prepared. Have water, have food, have some cash if you can. Be as prepared as you possibly can. If you can afford filtration, just in case, do stuff like that too. Be prepared, guys. Hopefully it's not as bad as we fear. But again, like I always say, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. It usually falls somewhere in between. I love you guys. I'll stay with you every step of the way. Where we go one, we go all. It's On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.